Hello, I'm
Hello.
Catherine,
I'm Daniela.
and we have a podcast that's all about spiritual
Miracles.
Please join us.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.
Welcome a very special guest today, and we hope you enjoy this very special episode.
Yeah.
Bye.
Okay, so my miracle story, because your channel's about miracles, and it's a good, it's good inspiration. Like inspires people to keep living, and what's the purpose of living? So I'm a rock climber. I've been climbing so long. I only really climb things that have never been climbed yet. So this particular peak is in a really big mountain that I was trying to climb myself, and I was reading I was reading my own book this morning, my guidebook to, because so it's Daniel Stih's rock climbing in Zion National Park. Because I was reading it because I was trying to remember the story. So for anyone anyone who wants to write a book, a story about their life or whatever, I'm going to tangent here a little bit, but key tip, I've learned this, like this morning, I'm reading my own story. Write it down when it happens. Because I would never have remembered these details, because this is a near-death experience, but yet I didn't die. So I'm like, okay, what kept me from dying, and how did I get into such a dire position that I set myself up for being this tired and worn out, and so the near death happened, and I would forget this stuff. And even this morning as I was reading the story, I'm like, so there were a couple things that saved me, and I needed each one of them, not one. That's how I know it was a miracle. It wasn't just one thing. It wasn't even just two or three. The more I thought about it, I'm like, wow, how many things had to happen or not happen to make this happen, me alive? And even this morning, as I'm reading my story again, I'm kind of like, well, how did that happen? So I'm going to do a show and tell and show you. I have my climbing ropes, and I'm going to explain how I almost did you hear about it all the time, actually. People rappel off the end of their rope. Climbers, when they're rappelling, they literally rappel off the end of the rope. Okay, so if you climb something really big, the only way to get down is to go down your rope. But the rope's only 150 feet long. So the way you get down is you wrap the rope around an anchor or a tree, go down both ends, pull one end, wrap it around another anchor or tree or both, go down both ends, pull it, and that's called rappelling. It's actually all this climbing stuff comes from Europe. All the terminology. I wonder it's be a good thing to Google. Anywho, so, which is an idiot mistake, by the way. When you rappel off the end of the rope, like, didn't you see the end of the rope? Besides that, there are safety measures you can take to not do that. So how does it happen? It's a rookie kind of, but no more will I say that, because I've been climbing 40 years. And if it happened to me, almost happened to anybody. So here's my story. So I'm going to climb this big mountain. And again, I'm reading my story myself this morning, because I literally had driven 3,000 miles the week before for work. I'm driving all over the country doing work. There's a good weather window, meaning it's not too hot, not too cold, not too much ice, and so forth. The rock's not too wet. But I'm working. And then I'm reading my own story. I'm like, I threw the ladder in the car with my climbing gear, and I'm driving to do work on the way to go climbing for a couple days. You do what you got to do to make your dream. My dream's to climb. My day job's like whatever it is. But it lets me do what I want to do when I want to do it. So I get there and I'm tired. I do the hike in, takes me a whole day. I start climbing, I'm tired, I come down, I fix my rope, come down my rope, go sleep. I go back the next day, I'm still tired. I'm not too high up the mountain. I'm like, I've got to go down, I'm so tired. So what I did was, I tied the rope off to the anchor I was at, and when you're climbing by yourself and there's no one to feed you out rope, you literally tie one end to your anchor, and then you feed it out to yourself. The other end's hanging loose. You feed it out to yourself, so if you fall, it's catching the anchor. So as I was up here, there's a rope going to the anchor. From here, I was going to rappel down back to the ground on the other loose end. So I'm going down, and this is a steep rock wall, and there's loose rock, and it's not a good idea to look up. You get hit on the head, hit in the face, but I'm looking to see where the rope's going, so that it's coming down clean, not going everything loose. And as I'm looking up, and I'm feeding the rope out to myself to go down, it stops, like I can't go any further. And I'm like, what happened is, to be safe, as you're going down, in case you let go of the rope, there's a way you can tie something around the rope and hook it into your harness, your leg, so that if you let go, it catches it. That had got stuck, which happens a bit, because if it's too loose, it'll slide, and if it's too tight, it won't move. So I'm a safety guy. I'm always having it tighter than it needs to be. So I'm used to getting it stuck, and I'm pulling and pulling and pulling and pulling and pulling and pulling and pulling. I'm looking up the whole time. I'm not looking at my hand. I'm getting angry. Here's what really happened. Show and tell. So, got a rope here. And I'm going down the rope back to the ground. Except where I'm climbing, actually, the ground is not straight below me. Straight below me is a 700-foot drop to a really bad. I have to swing over to land on a little ledge as I go down this rope. I have to swing. So the rope, it's not like the rope's just on the ground. So to be safe, what you do back to this, what's the safety thing? You wrap this thing around this smaller cord around the end of the rope. You're gonna like this. Just be patient, and you'll get. It's a good story. Okay, so what happens is if I let go with my hands, this is tied to my leg loop, and it locks. And as you go down, you slide it, because if you let go, it'll lock, right? Well, I'm going down, and I don't actually realize that what had happened is it's stuck on the sticker at the end of the rope. I'm going like this. Keep going. Why are you stuck? I'm looking up, like I'm getting angry. Like, why isn't it sliding? Because it should have been sliding like this. It got caught on the sticker. Now here's the miracle thing about that, Danielle. I'm still kind of amazed at how, for a couple things. See how the sticker is a little bit further than the end of the rope? How did this sticker get moved up here? If it was on the very, 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 very end, would it have caught? This rope is thicker than a normal rope because my buddy lent it to me. If it was a thinner rope, that might not have held. Also, reading my story, when I started climbing, because I saw like that there was damage to the rope, so I made a note. I'm like, start with the other end of the rope, not this end. And if I had started with this end, there was no sticker on the other end. But the biggest thing is this gets friction as it gets worn. So I had just bought a new, fatter, thicker one. And as I'm looking for it on my harness, I couldn't find it. Only my old, thinner one. See, the thinner it is, the tighter it catches. If I had the brand new one, it might not have caught. So I've got thicker rope from my buddy, old cord when I wanted a new one, sticker moved, thicker rope. All these things had to be there, otherwise I would have just gone off the end of the rope. And then on the way out from this climb, as I was going down, so to get to this mountain I had to do some more climbing, and I'm on the way out, rappelling, going down. Okay, I'm looking, like, is that trash? What is that? The brand new thicker one was laying on the ground. It had fallen off of my harness somehow. My explanation, my guardian angel took it off. Dan's not using that one today. Nope, not using that one. Gonna use the old one. So as I hung there, because I'm like, how am I still alive? Like, I'm like, that's, I mean, well, it's pretty easy to just go off the end. Even, so I'll show you if I didn't tie this thing, if I had a newer rope, or it was not tied, it would just go off the end of the rope. I'd be dead. So as I'm hanging there, people are like, what'd you do next? Oh, I'm alive now. So what do you do? Why are you still here? And it's actually more simpler, at least for me, it was a lot more simpler than people think. Oh, look at this grand purpose to do. 3 things that came to me. Maybe 3 things that had happened, or 4 that I just showed you to keep me alive. And the first one is real simple. It's buy donuts where you get your mail in the morning. Buy the people donuts, which I did, by the way. Bought them a dozen donuts when I checked my mail. I got back. I said, Dan, you never bring us donuts. And then number 2 is to buy my nephew a car. He was 18 and putting off getting his license. And number 3 was to finish writing a song that I had started with some friends. And higher power, whatever. A tiny toad walked across my path. Maybe you know the symbology about that. Anywho, since you're not a climber, you can't get this story. But this is how, if you were a climber, and a lot of people climb and rappel, and they do this, they would go, seriously, man? Like, really? Yeah, you're pretty lucky to be alive. And that's what, the sticker on the rope, the fatter rope, the thinner cord, all those things, they'd be really amazed at how, and how lucky you are, because a lot of, you hear about climbing accidents all the time. And so I couldn't actually tell that story for a year or 2. More than a year, I was afraid to tell anybody, because I'm like, if I tell my climbing part, if I tell any climber, they're going to, you're an idiot, you're dangerous, never climb with you. And also I was still trying to process it, like, that is no accident. So times people wonder, like, why am I still here, and why did so-and-so die so easily in a car crash or a heart attack, or here today, gone tomorrow, and who knows the answer to that. But then there are clearly, I'm sure you have listeners and you know people, and yourself, that someone really wants to keep me alive. And what's the purpose of that? Well, that's for another story, right? But because then you're like, well, it must be a really big purpose if I'm still here. But is it really? Because we talk about purpose. So I thought about this the following year, when not only so if I had died, take my nephew for example, that I bought the car. He'd probably never got a real job, not be in college, probably still be, nothing against playing video games in your bedroom, but that was his lifestyle. Not interested in getting a car. After that, since that's on my list, so if you want to call it purpose, I made my list. It's short, it's simple. His parents went out of town, and I was babysitting him and his 2 younger brothers, who were not adult, who were much younger. And I'm like, what we're gonna do? We're gonna surprise him. We're gonna go buy you a car. Now, of course, it's a beater. It's a $3,000 car, something that runs good, and it's all he needs. But I let him pick it out. It was motivation for him to get his driver's license. Let the kid pick his car, right? He's got to get a license now to drive it. He's into it. That would have never happened. Which was kind of fun, because I told his younger brothers, okay, Uncle Dan's taking the family van. Me and your older brother going shopping for a car. we found one. Of course, he couldn't drive yet, so I had to take a Uber or Lyft back to the house to get the van and the new car back. I'm like, he couldn't pass his driver's license. Couldn't get the driver's license. Failed the test twice. So the idea was to go pick his parents up in his new car at the airport and surprise him. Instead, we parked the car in the garage in his dad's parking spot. Yeah, so we all get in the van to go pick up his parents and get home from the airport from their trip. And my brother's driving his van. He opens the garage door, he looks and he sees his car. And of course, it's not a brand new car, and it looks like something his friends would drive, like someone in their early 20s, just first car. He's like, whose car is that? You weren't supposed to have any friends over. He's like, that's my car, Dad. And without skipping a beat, my brother's like, no, whose car is it? Seriously, is that so-and-so? When your friend's car is that? He's like, that's my car, Dad. My brother's totally ignoring him, his dad's like, it cannot be. To the point where I start to get worried. I'm like, was it okay if I bought your kid a car? I'm really starting to get worried here, yeah, because like, I shut the video camera off and kind of like, well, I hope this is okay. And of course it was, but that's how much of a surprise it was. And then he got his license, and then after that, his younger brother, 2 years later, also, as soon as he was old enough, he got his license and wanted a car, which of course I pitched in for too, because you buy the first nephew a car, you got to help out with the second one. That would have never happened, likely. And so I think part of our purpose are the small things, the butterfly effect, that you're looking for the big thing. And if you ask yourself, what's your purpose? And it's something small, and you have no idea. I mean, yeah, it could be as simple as next stranger you see on the sidewalk asking for money. If you get the tap on your shoulder that it's really a legitimate need and not someone just panhandling to make money, give them $5. It might save their life or change their life, or who knows, make the world a better place. So I think it's the small things, Yeah, I think the biggest thing that would help the whole world is if people just, when they saw a stranger in a coffee shop by themselves, right, and they're sad, like you were that day, kind of like struggling, you can tell, like, they're not okay. And what does it take to go, good morning, or how are you, to a stranger, though? Yeah, to just take them out of it, take them out of their space, yeah. Is that hard? Wait a minute, go back. So, I was at the grocery store, and there was a woman who, she's like, how's your day? Good. We're doing the good morning thing. I can see she's a little stressed out. So, like we were speaking of earlier, I go, how's your day going? And I would love it if a client came here. Now, of course, some of them are not in America or not able to do that, but they can come. That's when I'm like, heck yeah. And if they come, being a climber, I was also a guide, and also worked with kids, high school students, taking them out into the wilderness. So DanielStih.com. Also dreambigwithdaniel.com. Makes it easier. Dreambigwithdaniel.com. And get you the same place. And yeah, I have resources and stories, and people can connect with me for one-on-one coaching, and I walk them through like we're talking about now. It sounds simple, but one thing I've noticed, though, as simple as it is, and I only learned this from life experience. One time, so after I quit that job and I'm falling into another business, I'm still like, okay, why are you doing this? This is because I fell into it. Okay, this is better now, but this is not it. And I'm thinking about transitioning to the real career, which is what I'm doing now, what I feel my passion is, right? So this is the way I look at my coaching practice is, why would people hire a coach? What does a coach do? Well, I don't need coaching. I want to win the game. I want to change my life. So I focus on that, but we have to keep moving. It's like when I'm climbing the mountain and I'm stuck, it happens a lot. I'm like, I can't go up. I'm like, but I spent like a week trying to get here. I have to get to the top. I'm like, dude, it's not happening. You have to, doesn't mean I'm going down to the car. I will climb this mountain, and I'm not going to bolt my way up it like chisel holds. I'm like, I want to climb it. Otherwise, what's the point of the why am I here? And I'm like, what if this is where the magic comes? Like, all I know is I have to move. So I might start going down. I might go, oh, what if I swing around my rope around the corner? Easy peasy. Which wouldn't happen unless I get stuck. And if I just stayed there forever, I would just like, what's the point? Yeah, I gotta keep moving. Yeah, so real quick, in case it doesn't get on your show notes, Daniel, where is my name on this? Oh, Daniel Stih. So DanielStih.com. DanielStih.com is my website. And oh, I'm not plugging my book. I'm just using this to show my name. This is just for. There are good stories in here for climbers, or there are good stories for non-climbers. This one though is fun. This is my other book. Yeah. Yep. All right. Anywhere you buy books. Yeah. Amazon's kind of weird. I could talk about that if you're an author. Amazon's not always the cheapest. There are a lot of misinformation out there about writing books and people want your money. Okay, one tip real quick. Never pay somebody. This is like being on a podcast. There's people like, you can be on my show, but there's a $99 fee. I'm like, I'm your guest. What are you gonna charge me? Never let a publisher, never, you get this, people, I'll publish your book for $5,000 or this or that. Never pay anybody to publish your book. They're making money. They should be paying you. And you get sucked into a lot of that stuff because there's people that say, we'll help you write your book and do all this for this amount. No, you can write your own book. It's not that hard.
Maybe you join us too. You can contact us on our email. We would love to hear your spiritual miracle.
Yeah. Our journey is open for everyone.
Thank you.